I would love to know the pitch that Damien Chazelle had to do in front of studio execs when putting forward this movie. Him explaining that one of the opening shots of the film is an exploding elephant's rectum shitting all over two characters. What on earth would the reaction have been?
You know, when I first moved to LA,
I got your face tattooed on my back.
you know what signs on all the doors read? No actors or dogs allowed. I changed that.
Good morning.
Good job for you.
I'll do anything.
That's the cocksucker they sent to screw us.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my channel and time for another episode of Luke's Reviews. On today's video, well, he took us on a whirlwind tour through the world of jazz drumming, shut down an LA freeway for a gigantic musical set piece, and put a man on the moon. Not literally, but Damien Chazelle is back, and this time round, he is set for his biggest challenge yet. An epic odyssey detailing, near enough, the entire history of Hollywood. Should be a walk in the park. This is my review of Babylon. Starting in the 1920s, Babylon introduces us to an eclectic range of characters as we join them on a journey through the evolution of Hollywood, from the heyday of the silent era into the dawn of the talkies. Chazelle explores the glitz and the glam, as well as the seedy, hedonistic, and debaucherous underbelly. Our main focus is on three characters. Jack Conrad is a screen legend who is somewhat fearful of this new adjustment. Nellie Leroy is a hopeful actress, desperate to have her moment in the spotlight. And finally, there's Manny Torres, a young runner willing to do whatever he can to make his mark on Hollywood. Make no mistake, Babylon is a lot of movie. It's an exhausting 3-hour roller coaster filled with coke-fueled orgies and chaotic set catastrophes. The excessive nature of this film may turn some people off, and honestly, it's quite understandable. Because Chazelle is by no means fearful of depicting the debauchery and the depravity that the golden age of Hollywood completely reveled in. Across the opening 30 minutes, we swoop through a party filled with drugs, sex, elephants, booze, and all sorts of bodily fluids flung literally at the camera. It's an immense beginning, but what Chazelle is cleverly doing is he's setting the stage for the next 3 hours, so the audience is aware of what the next 3 hours may, and inevitably do, entail. Now, technically speaking, Babylon is spectacular. It relishes this period setting and absolutely spares no expense when it comes to the production design. I think everyone is talking about the opening party sequence as the most dazzling moment in the film, but there's a sequence set on a field where we see studios using multiple sets, and that for me was probably my highlight. The chaos, the carnage, the insanity, the ridiculousness, all of this convalesces into a cacophony of calamity that is so deliriously entertaining to behold. Linus Sandgren is a master with the cinematography here, and it is criminal that he is not nominated for an Oscar. Long swoop-in shots and perfect framing, this film captures beauty in every single frame, even when in that frame could be an overweight man being pissed on and being called a little piggy. And as to be expected, longtime Damien Chazelle collaborator Justin Hurwitz returns to score this film, and the score is so good. It is so damn good. It has the power to transport you to the sound stages of Hollywood or these seductive parties just only by listening to it. And then it's even better when it's utilized in the film. At this point, I think when it comes to Best Original Score, this is Hurwitz's Oscar to lose. And then there are the performers themselves. Brad Pitt turns on the charm to the max as Jack Conrad. We first meet Jack living his life to the fullest and carousing all night, every night, but Conrad worked better for me as a character when that status began to crumble and we see more of what Pitt can do, exploring Conrad's frail ego. Margot Robbie is on expected top form with Nellie Leroy. She's a loud, brash and carefree soul who can captivate whoever she needs to. Robbie is incredible in the role, but I struggle to really invest in her character, and that speaks to a larger issue that I have with the film, but I will touch on that later. And the final main focal point of the film is Diego Calva as Manny Torres, who is a revelation in the film. For a large part of the film, he is who we are seeing this world through. We're introduced to it all alongside him, and Calva does a fantastic job as we see this character evolve over the ensuing 3 hours. There are even more characters as well, including Gene Smart as a gossip colonist, Jovan Adepo as a jazz trumpeter desperate to feature in front of the camera for a change, and Lee Ju Lee as a captivating performer. These supporting characters all have their own minor arcs that definitely get their time to shine, but unfortunately, because there are so many to focus on, their storylines often feel somewhat shortchanged, or in a lot of cases, an afterthought, which is kind of a shame. And that's where we run into my larger problem. Babylon is a massive task, and even with that 3-hour runtime, I felt like there was so much that Chazelle wanted to include in this film that there also was a notable and distinct lack of heart and soul. I felt very little for the troubles that Nellie faced, the obstacles that Jack encountered, and the many issues that Manny had to overcome. There are a heck of a lot of wild hijinks, and as I've mentioned, they're really entertaining, but they often add very little to story or characters, so in a way I don't know that necessarily so much of that was needed. Because as a result, it left the film feeling disjointed and overstuffed. Ultimately, I feel like Babylon's narrative could have been improved with two possible suggestions. Firstly, and I know this is a bit of a ongoing critique that many critics like myself give, and that is that this could have been so much better as a 5, maybe 6 episode limited series. You give it to HBO or some other company that has the budget to really deliver on this, and at that point you've got so much time that you can dedicate this time span and really flesh things out. Or secondly, you got to address the fact that you have too many characters who are jostling for the lead. Scrap all that, you make Manny the lead and treat it like a Forrest Gump type situation where you are watching him go through these iconic and pivotal moments in Hollywood history as he then runs into these really brash, wild, iconic characters in the process. And also one final note, Chazelle is known for delivering on big bravura endings. Look at Whiplash, the fantastic drum solo at the end, the gorgeous epilogue that features at the end of La La Land, and the entire moon landing sequence for First Man. But here, oddly enough, it's really scattershot and very simplistic in its message. It's clear that Chazelle is making a point about the sanctity of the cinema, but it's also a point that a lot of people know, and the film treats that as if it's revelatory. What Babylon boils down to is that Damien Chazelle swung for the fences, and props to him, because he had all of the technical capabilities to achieve this vision, but the script just wasn't quite up to scratch. There are lots of great moments, but great moments don't necessarily make for a great film. Coming out of this, Linus Sandgren and Justin Hurwitz were the MVPs for me, and Chazelle gave everything he could to make this come together, but this project is Goliath in nature, and despite the outlandish obscenities and the clear affinity he has for the history of cinema, this newest feature from him didn't capture me as much as I wish or hope it did. So I'm going to give Babylon a 6.5 out of 10. Anyway guys, those were my thoughts on Babylon. Let me know, have you had a chance to see the film yet? What did you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And my question to you, I want to know, of the Oscar categories that Babylon didn't get nominated for, where would you have liked to seen it pop up? I've already mentioned that I would have loved to have seen a nomination for Best Cinematography, but I'm curious as to what else you thought. But that is all we have time for here today, so thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to click that like button, and if you aren't already, click that subscribe button too.